All right, welcome everyone. So, have you ever looked at a new piece of legislation and just had this nagging feeling like, what is this really trying to do? Well, today, we're going to put on our constitutional law hats. We're going to learn how to see right through a law's disguise and figure out its true purpose. Believe me, this is an absolutely essential skill for any lawyer, and by the end of our time today, you'll have the framework to do it yourself. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with this idea of a law in disguise. Then, we'll get into our key legal tool, the Pith and substance test. We'll see how it plays out with a couple of tax cases, and then, and this is the fun part, you get to apply it to a really significant abortion clinic case. Finally, we'll look at the Constitution's final word on the matter. Sound good? Okay, let's jump right in.
All right, first things first, let's start with a really basic but crucial question. Why can't a government, federal or provincial, just pass any law it feels like? I mean, what's stopping them? Well, the answer gets right to the core of how Canada is structured.
So, can a law wear a disguise? The answer is a big, resounding yes. A law might say it's about, regulating healthcare, something totally normal, but its actual purpose, its real goal, might be something completely different. So our job, as legal detectives, is to look past the pretty packaging and figure out what's really inside.
And this all goes back to the division of powers in Canada. Think of the Constitution Act of 1867 as setting up a kind of highway with two distinct lanes. You've got Section 91, which is the federal lane, that's for big national issues like criminal law, and then you have Section 92, the provincial lane, for more local stuff like property rights and healthcare. The million-dollar question, the one we're tackling today, is what happens when a province tries to swerve into the federal lane, or vice versa. Okay, so how do we, as lawyers and judges, figure out if a government has actually stayed in its proper lane? We definitely don't just take their word for it. No, we have a very specific, very powerful legal tool we use to get to the bottom of it. And that tool is called the Doctrine of Pith and Substance. Now, I know it sounds a little old-fashioned, maybe a bit intimidating, but don't let the name fool you. The concept is actually pretty straightforward. Pith just means the core, the essence of something. We're trying to find the law's true character, its dominant feature. It's kind of like having constitutional X-ray vision, letting you see the skeleton of the law underneath the surface. So how does this work in practice? Well, it's a simple two-step analysis. Step 1. You look at the law's purpose, what it says it's doing. You often find this right in the title or the preamble. But step 2, and this is really the key, is you have to look at its legal effect. What does this law actually do when you put it into practice? Because that's where the truth usually comes out. The real story is always in the substance, not the label.
Okay, theory is one thing, but this makes a lot more sense when you see it in action. So let's look at a couple of real-world examples to see how the courts have actually applied this doctrine.
We're going to look at two classic cases, both involving provinces trying to tax banks. Now, what's the first thing that should pop into your head when you hear that? Right, banking is a federal power. So anytime a province passes a law that seems to be about banking, you know the courts are going to give it a very close look. And the crucial difference between these two cases, it all comes down to who the tax was aimed at.
And what's fascinating is the courts came to completely opposite conclusions. The Bank of Toronto tax, it was upheld. It was found to be perfectly valid. Why? Because its purpose was to raise money for the province, and it did that by taxing all big corporations, not just banks. The effect on banking was just incidental. But the Alberta law, that was struck down. The court said, nope, you can't do this, because that law singled out only banks. Its real purpose wasn't to raise money, it was to mess with the federal banking system. See, the courts saw right through that disguise.
Okay, so you've seen the doctrine in action with a relatively straightforward example. Now it's your turn to play judge. We're going to take this same two-step analysis and apply it to a much more complicated and, frankly, much more controversial case. So here's the setup. The scene is Nova Scotia. A private abortion clinic announces it's going to open. In response, the provincial government quickly passes a new law called the Medical Services Act. And their public argument is pretty simple. Hey, we're just regulating healthcare. That's our job. It's right there in Section 92 of the Constitution. Okay, let's start our analysis. Step 1. What's the law's stated purpose? What's the disguise? Well, just look at the title. It says it's an act to restrict the privatization of medical services to maintain a high-quality healthcare system. I mean, that sounds completely reasonable, right? Totally within the province's power. It's a very plausible story. But now for step 2. What does the law actually do? What is its legal effect? Well, when you read the fine print, you see the act makes it an offense to perform an abortion or even help with one,
anywhere outside of a hospital. So, wait a minute. This isn't just regulating a medical service, this is an outright prohibition with some serious consequences. And this is the smoking gun. Just look at the penalty for breaking this law. We're talking a fine between $10,000 and $50,000. That is not just a little slap on the wrist for a regulatory infraction. That's a huge penalty. And what are severe penalties designed to do? They're designed to punish behavior that society deems wrong. And that sounds an awful lot like criminal law, doesn't it? Which, of course, is exclusively federal.
So, you're the judge. You've seen the evidence, you have the prohibition, and you have the huge penalty. What do you think the true pith and substance of this law is? Is it really about managing the healthcare system, or is its dominant purpose, its true character, about prohibiting abortions outside of hospitals, effectively creating a brand new crime?
Well, the Supreme Court of Canada looked at exactly the same evidence we just walked through. They applied that same two-step pith and substance test, and they came to a very clear conclusion about this law's true identity. And the verdict? The court said the pith and substance, the true core of this act, was to prohibit abortions outside of hospitals and to punish people who did it. And that, they said, is squarely in the federal government's lane of criminal law. So, the province had gone too far. The law was struck down as ultra vires, a fancy Latin phrase that just means beyond the powers.
This case is a perfect, textbook example of what we lawyers call colorable legislation. It's a great term. It means a law that is colored to look like one thing, in this case healthcare regulation, when it's really an attempt to legislate in an area where that government has no authority. It's the very definition of a law wearing a constitutional disguise.
So, let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway for you? Well, you now have a simple but powerful analytical toolkit for looking at any law. Number 1, always ask, what is the pith and substance, the true character of this law? Number 2, look at its stated object, its purpose, usually in the title. And number 3, most importantly, analyze its actual legal effect. What does it really do?
And I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. Think about the laws being debated right now, today. Are any of them not quite what they seem? Keep your eyes peeled and keep this framework in mind. Because constitutional law isn't some dusty old history book. It's alive, it's happening all around us. And now you have the tools to be a part of that conversation. All right, class dismissed.